The complexities of the female mind are fascinating and often surprising. Did you know that certain traumas can shape how a woman interacts with the world? Imagine for a moment how past experiences influence her decisions in the present. This could be deeper than you think. Moreover, some emotions can be intensely amplified, leading to unexpected reactions in everyday situations. How would you react if you realized that a small situation could trigger an emotional whirlwind? And what about social pressures? They can create a pattern that affects self-esteem in a frightening way. The female mind is also a labyrinth of desires and fears, where every corner reveals a new layer of complexity. How do these elements impact their relationships? Let's explore these psychological facts that may leave you surprised. Get ready for a journey that goes beyond the superficial and reveals truths that many prefer to ignore. Stay tuned, because what comes next might change your perception of what really happens in the minds of women. Let's uncover these mysteries together. Fact 1. Vulnerability to anxiety and depression. Studies have shown that women face greater vulnerability to anxiety and depression. This reality is linked to a combination of biological, social, and cultural factors. For example, the hormonal fluctuations that occur during the menstrual cycle can influence mood and increase the predisposition to these disorders. Additionally, the social expectation regarding female behavior, which often demands that women are always careful and attentive, can generate intense emotional pressure. Another factor to consider is the role women play in society. Often the overload of responsibilities, including work, home, and family, can lead to chronic stress. This stress, in turn, is strongly linked to the development of mental disorders. The feeling that they must handle everything and still appear happy and fulfilled can become oppressive, creating a difficult cycle to break. The lack of emotional support is also a reality for many women. In a world where the stigma around mental health still persists, many feel insecure about seeking help. This can result in worsening symptoms, making the situation even more complicated. Social isolation, which can be a consequence of depression, often prevents them from seeking support from friends and family, further deepening their vulnerability. Moreover, constant comparison with other women, especially on social media, can intensify the feeling of inadequacy. The idealized images of happiness and success, which often do not reflect reality, can lead women to feel inadequate. This comparison creates a state of dissatisfaction that can turn into anxiety and depression, creating a hostile mental environment. Finally, it is important to mention that vulnerability to anxiety and depression is not an inherent characteristic of women, but a consequence of a social context that can be modified. Raising awareness of these problems and promoting a safe space for women to talk about their experiences are important steps in addressing and reducing this vulnerability. Fact 2. Impact of social pressure. The social pressure to meet beauty standards and expected behaviors is a reality that many women face daily. From an early age, they are bombarded with messages dictating how they should dress, act, and look. This pressure comes not only from the media, but also from friends, family, and even co-workers. The result is a cycle of dissatisfaction and negative self-evaluation that can be devastating. This cycle of comparison can lead to serious self-esteem issues. A woman who does not feel up to the imposed standards may begin to develop a negative self-image. This can result in eating disorders, such as anorexia and bulimia, which are mental and physical health problems that affect the lives of many women. The pursuit of the perfect body can lead to self-destructive behaviors that are often difficult to reverse. Additionally, social pressure can influence the choices women make in their lives. Many may feel they need to sacrifice their mental health and well-being to fit into a mold that society considers acceptable. This need for external approval can lead to stress, anxiety, and ultimately, a state of chronic unhappiness. The desire to conform to social expectations can cause women to set aside their true passions and interests. The media also plays a crucial role in this scenario. The distorted representation of the ideal woman with perfect bodies and glamorous lives creates an unrealistic expectation that is difficult to achieve. This representation can make women feel they are never good enough, which, in turn, fuels mental health problems. Many find themselves fighting against an image that doesn't exist, making the comparison even more painful. Finally, it is essential that women learn to value themselves beyond the standards imposed by society. Building healthy self-esteem, which values who each person truly is a vital part of the process. This involves accepting individuality and recognizing that beauty comes in different forms and sizes. Promoting diversity and inclusion is essential to help women free themselves from social pressure and move towards a fuller and more authentic life. Fact 3. Differences in pain perception. The way women perceive pain can be quite different from how men experience it. Research has shown that women tend to report a greater intensity of pain in various situations, from chronic pain to occasional discomfort. This phenomenon is not only due to biological factors, but also to social and cultural influences that shape the perception and expression of pain. Often, women are taught from a young age to be more sensitive and expressive about suffering, which can impact how they report their pain experiences. Unfortunately, this difference in pain perception can lead to underdiagnosis and undertreatment of various medical conditions among women. Healthcare professionals often do not take into account the intensity of pain they report, considering it less relevant or even exaggerated. This can result in delayed diagnoses and lack of adequate treatments, which can worsen the situation and prolong suffering. Moreover, the idea that women must endure the pain can create a stigma that discourages patients from seeking help. Another important point is that female pain can be misinterpreted in clinical contexts. For example, menstrual pain or symptoms related to conditions like endometriosis are often minimized. This not only harms treatment, but also can lead women to believe that their suffering is normal or not worthy of medical attention. This normalization of pain can have a significant impact on women's quality of life and mental health. The lack of recognition of differences in pain perception can also affect women's confidence in their own bodies and in seeking medical help. When their complaints are not taken seriously, they may begin to doubt themselves, creating a vicious cycle of distrust and suffering. This scenario is very common and can be extremely harmful, leading women to feel isolated and unsupported. Finally, it is essential to increase awareness of these differences in pain perception and to train healthcare professionals to understand and validate women's experiences. It is necessary to create an environment where women feel comfortable sharing their pain and where their voices are heard and respected. This can be an important step in ensuring they receive the appropriate treatment and attention they deserve. Fact 4. Manipulation and toxic relationships. Women often find themselves in situations of abusive relationships where emotional manipulation plays a significant role. This type of relationship can manifest in various forms, such as excessive control, devaluation, and intimidation. The power dynamic is a crucial factor, as abusive partners often take advantage of women's insecurities and emotional vulnerabilities, leading them to believe they don't deserve love or respect. Emotional manipulation can be subtle, making it difficult to identify initially. A partner may, for example, constantly criticize a woman's choices or make negative comments about her appearance, creating an environment of doubt and insecurity. Over time, this constant devaluation can lead a woman to low self-esteem, making her feel trapped and without a way out. This situation can worsen when the woman starts to distance herself from friends and family, isolating herself in a cycle of emotional dependence on the partner. Furthermore, society often perpetuates the idea that women should be submissive or tolerant in their relationships, making it difficult to leave abusive situations. Many women may feel they need to keep the relationship at all costs, fearing what might happen if they decide to leave. This social pressure can make women feel guilty or ashamed for not being able to maintain a relationship that is actually harmful. The psychological impact of toxic relationships can be devastating. Women who go through abusive experiences often face mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Recovering from these experiences can be a long and painful process that requires support and understanding. Often, they need therapy and other forms of support to rebuild their self-image and self-esteem. To break the cycle of manipulation and toxic relationships, it is essential that women have access to resources and information. Education about healthy relationships and recognizing the signs of abuse are fundamental steps to empower women to make informed decisions about their lives. Additionally, the support of friends, family, and specialized organizations can make all the difference in the recovery journey and in the search for healthier and more respectful relationships. Fact 5. The effect of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is an alarming issue that affects millions of women worldwide. This violence is not limited to physical harm, but also causes deep psychological scars that can last a lifetime. Many women who experience gender-based violence develop post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which manifests in the form of flashbacks, nightmares, and a constant sense of insecurity. These symptoms can interfere with daily life, making it difficult for them to establish healthy relationships in the future. In addition to PTSD, the consequences of gender-based violence can include depression and anxiety, which often intensify over time. The feeling of helplessness and loss of control over their own lives can be overwhelming. Many women feel trapped in a cycle of fear and insecurity, making it difficult for them to seek help or support. The stigma and fear of not being believed can make them feel even more isolated. Gender-based violence also has collateral effects that extend beyond the woman who experiences it. Entire families can be affected, as children who witness or experience this violence can develop emotional and behavioral problems. The family environment becomes filled with tension and fear, which can perpetuate a cycle of violence that extends to future generations. Thus, violence is not just an individual problem, but a social issue that needs to be addressed collectively. Women who survive gender-based violence often face barriers when trying to access support services. These barriers can include a lack of resources, such as shelters and counseling services, or even the social stigma associated with being a victim of violence. Many women feel ashamed or afraid to talk about their experiences, fearing retaliation from the abuser or judgment from society. To combat gender-based violence, it is essential to create safe and accessible spaces where women can seek help without fear of judgment. Public policies that support victims and hold perpetrators accountable are critical to ending this cycle of violence. Additionally, educating the population about the seriousness of this problem and promoting respect for women in all spheres of society are fundamental steps to prevent violence and protect future generations. Society plays a crucial role in how gender-based violence is perceived and addressed. Unfortunately, there is often a stigma associated with victims, which can make seeking help even more difficult. It is essential that the community understands that the responsibility for violence lies with the perpetrator, not the victim. This shift in mindset is a critical step towards creating a safer and more welcoming environment for women facing these situations. Education is a powerful tool in the fight against gender-based violence. From childhood, it is important to teach mutual respect, consent, and the importance of healthy relationships. Through educational programs that address these topics, it is possible to shape a new generation that grows up with values that reject violence and promote equality. This cultural shift can have a lasting impact and help prevent future cases of violence. Additionally, institutions also need to be prepared to offer support to victims. This includes everything from mental health services to shelter and protection for women fleeing abusive situations. Creating support networks that connect victims to resources and services is crucial to facilitating recovery and reintegration into society. Often, women do not know where to seek help, and it is society's responsibility to ensure that this information is easily accessible. The media also plays an important role in how gender-based violence is portrayed and discussed. Sensationalist or stigmatizing reporting can perpetuate prejudices and create a negative image of victims. On the other hand, responsible and empathetic coverage can help raise awareness and promote solidarity. The way violence stories are told can influence public perception and, consequently, the treatment of victims. Finally, it is through the collective efforts of all sectors of society that gender-based violence can be effectively combated. Each of us has a role to play, whether as an individual, a community member, or a professional within an institution. Together, we can build an environment where women feel safe and supported, allowing them to recover from trauma and rebuild their lives. Now that you've learned about these 5 surprising psychological facts about women, it's time to reflect. How might these aspects influence your relationships and daily interactions? Think about how understanding these details could change the way you communicate, not only with women but with everyone around you. The human mind is a complex labyrinth, and by understanding its nuances, we can become more empathetic and connected individuals. Have you ever stopped to think about how these fears and insecurities might manifest in daily life? Or how social pressure shapes the perception we have of each other? Now, imagine applying these insights to your life. How about starting an open conversation about these topics with someone close to you? It could open doors to a rich and transformative dialogue. Remember, knowledge is the key to mutual understanding. And if you enjoyed these insights, why not share them with your friends? Let's spread this awareness. Leave your comments below and tell us, which of these facts surprised you the most? Stay tuned, because we still have much more to explore together. See you in our next video.